I
I'm
need.
going to do it as a talk, but I'm going to ask for interaction, pencil, paper, or in your phone. Record some of the things that you think about, because you're going to build your board kind of along with me.
All right, awesome. So let's go ahead and get started. And Cathy, just recall there's a 30-second delay. So if you want any participation from the audience, I'll pull their comments up on screen. But from here, I will give the floor to you.
Okay, sounds good. I always like to start with a story. I wrote a book called Career Map, Discover Your Unique Purpose. And it's the first chapter. I kind of like the story because this was my first board of director chosen for me, but I didn't even choose. It just sort of happened. So sometimes they choose you. Like Brenda kind of chose me because she's on my personal board of directors. And I kind of think I'm on hers too. So it's the people that you meet along the way, sometimes that you take for granted, that can be the best wise counsel to help you with decision making. I mean, most of you probably are familiar with boards. You know, I've been on state, local government, national boards and that kind of stuff. And the purpose is to help make better decisions. And so sometimes we kind of lose sight of, we need one of those too for us when we're making decisions that are kind of tough. So my story is this. Mrs. Kelly, my kindergarten teacher, I was 5 years old. I was sitting with my mom in a PTA conference. And fundamentally, this is what Mrs. Kelly said about me. I would feel comfortable leaving Cathy in charge of the class if I had to leave the room. She was the first person who saw leadership in me. And obviously, she was one of my favorite teachers. And that started you know what? Sometimes you need other people's perspective on how to make best decisions, because sometimes you don't always see either the blind spot that's not so good in you or the blind spot that is really good in you that you don't own because you think that you don't have it. Sometimes that's what boards of your own will help you. The other thing I learned about being on boards is there's a lot of camaraderie, a lot of thinking partners, a lot of people that have different ideas and processes and ways of doing things. And that's really rich, because sometimes you get the benefit of that experience and you're not having to endure some of those hard knocks along the way. So, and in every board that I've been, net giving is a theme that both Brenda and I espouse to, and that means investing in other people and helping them to be successful in ways that maybe they couldn't do on their own, or they're afraid or whatever. So it's courage building too. So with that, some of the kinds of things that I did within the book that kind of forced me to think through who my resource people were, or who my personal board of directors were. And you're going to hear from another one of those later today, by the way. Bill is going to speak, and he's somebody that I treasure and do thinking partnership with too. But I'm going to give you some categories for you to think about as we build your personal board of directors. So I want you to think about first, who's the best listener in your life? That it's kind of your go-to person, sounding board. You can kind of bounce things off of, and they can just kind of give you a different perspective when you do that. So if you have somebody like that in your existence, so to speak, I want you to write one or two of those people's names down so that you capture that. Who's your listener, encourager, sounding board? That's step one. I'm going to give you a minute to think about that. And I'm sure you got somebody in mind. So here's the next one that I always advocate in today's world, because I'm a multi-generational leadership coach. I do everything from the first leader to the, executive level. So I have at least one, if not more, reverse mentors. In other words, I have people that are younger than me, that are in a different generation than me, that I ask for guidance and counsel. So who do you know that's younger than you that is a go-to person that you could access? Or maybe somebody that you could look for if you don't already have somebody. So that's the second one. Emily, the story behind Career Map, is my editor, and she's 31 years old and I'm 60 plus, and I'll leave it at that. But I've learned a ton about how to write, be an author, how to respond to people that are younger than me, because she coaches me and mentors me along the way, so I can reach as many people as I can in the younger generation. So that's number two. I'll give you a minute to think about a reverse mentor that's younger than you. And what role do they play for you? Might be another piece of that. So this third role model is for who really shares your values and sees things in you that they magnify or multiply. Everybody in the world has had a leader that subtracts from you and makes you feel like you never want to be under them. And then you have some that are, just coaches, just naturally, they care about you, they invest in you, et cetera, et cetera. Well, that was Bob for me. He was a department chair at a local university, and he gave me my first leadership job when I didn't even think I had any leadership skills. So, and we built some really cool things together. So he role modeled leadership values of net giving, caring about somebody else more than you care about yourself sometimes, and investing in people. So who invests in you would be the next category of how to build your core. I'll give you a minute for that one. The next one is who supports and coaches you to find your unique purpose? What knack, talent, something that you do that you just couldn't stop doing if your life depended on it? Who coaches you and kind of encourages you to continue in that? That would be somebody that kind of stands beside you. Brenda has done that for me when we worked together side by side helping the unemployed, because we both have a passion for that. And we built consortium systems to do that with other people too. So we built a bigger board than what we started with just each other. So who supports your unique purpose? They see something in you that they validate that maybe you're not even aware of that is good, so to speak. Then the next category is who's your favorite network builder, net giver. They are selfless. They try to help you. They try to get you to resources, support other people, that kind of thing. Gail is my person for that. Gail Sanderson runs a group for unemployed HR people. She is the best networker I have ever met in my life. She knows everybody on the planet practically. And if you need something, you ask her, she'll have a connection for you. Who's that kind of person for you? Give you a minute for that one too. And then the next one is, we all have a need for financial security. Those of us who have lost jobs, I've been let go, Brenda's been let go, Bill's been let go, the people that are talking to you today, and some of the people like Heather, who helps people that have been unemployed in an actual job situation. These people have understandings of the need of how we are scared when we lose a job with financial security. So at the time, I was doing a lot of career transition work in different churches and different businesses and different locations. I met Nancy, who is not only a person who does what Brenda and I do to help unemployed folks, but she's also a financial planner for Merrill Lynch. And so she's my go-to person to keep me financially sound. So who's your financial advisor person that you would like, or that you already have, that you would put on that board of directors? We don't always think of that in the personal sense, but that's a part of our whole life. So we need to add that financial component of how do we do that best. I'll give you a minute for that. Then the next category is who's the executive leadership, who's the go-to person on your behalf? Have you ever had one? I've had multiple ones. That same Bob I talked about earlier is one of them. But Bob was a leadership sponsor to open doors for me. A sponsor is different than a mentor. A sponsor actually gets his hands dirty or her hands dirty and goes to bat for you with somebody and advocates for you so that you can get promotions and go higher. In whether it's a job, a ministry, a volunteer situation, they're the advocate that goes before you. So if you have one of those, or you need to seek one of those, the next category. So I'll give you a minute for that. The next category is, do you partner with somebody like Brenda and I are doing now? We both like training and delivering information to people. I have a thinking partner that actually works with me. We financially work together and do leadership training together. Her name is Denise. And she's also a thinking partner because we both love to design. And so we spend lots and lots of time on how is the best way we can teach leaders to be leaders that are intentional and not to be command and control oriented so that people can thrive and grow underneath there. So she's my go-to person for a thinking partner when it comes to designing training. And then lastly, I'm a faith-based person. I'm not shy about that. And I coincidentally met my last category. She's my prayer warrior and my encourager. We actually were co-workers at work. She was an executive assistant to one of the physicians that I worked with because I used to do physician leadership development, succession programs. And I didn't realize it was her that I met in a training that I did for, staff. We went and connected, and she's a pastor. And so when I need somebody to talk to on a spiritual level, she's my go-to person. She's the first person I call, and we encourage one another. So it's a faith-based encouragement level. If you have that belief system, then who's your encourager in that thing, in the things that you most believe and hold dear? So those are the categories of building your personal board of directors. I'd be curious to see if anybody has any questions about it, or if you want to let us know something about that I can relay through the chat. What's your thoughts about personal board of directors? Are we hearing anything, Brenda?
I think I was muted. Let me try this again. Can you hear me now, Cathy?
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to give a little shameless plug here too. I just picked up your book, and as you were walking through the step on building your personal board of directions, I heard you mention several categories that are in this book that you've written. Career map, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, Cathy didn't know I was going to bring the book, guys, but she may have guessed that I might have brought that up. But I'm going to drop the link in comments in case anyone's interested in checking that out. And we're asking for feedback. What did you think of this building your personal board of directors? Was this helpful for you? I'm starting to see some comments coming in here. Cathy, Terrence is saying, love this material. So some folks are watching and really having gaining insights here. Michelle's going to be on later with us today, and Michelle says definitely need to have a personal board of directors, excuse me. Terrence is, I think he's summarizing. Did we get this right? Sounding board, reverse mentor, person that shares values, invest in you. Did he get this right, Cathy?
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? Here's the good stuff. You can add categories if you need more than what I've given you. These are sort of the basic ones because I've had that good fortune. But some of the people that I'm closest to, I sat with on boards, and these people are who you are closest to. They know you the best. And one of the reasons I name my company Know You is I find constantly that people undersell themselves and don't realize all that they have. And these kinds of board members can kind of validate skills for you. And here's a tip for those of you that might be looking for jobs and you dread those interviews and that kind of stuff. If you listen to your board of directors and they tell you positive things that you're good at, and you go, oh, pshaw, not that thing, it's no big deal. Well, it is a big deal because if it's easy, it's a skill. And sometimes we minimize those skills. So we need that wise counsel from our board members to remind us of what we can do to energize us to get ready for those interview things that we dread because they're kind of challenging and they're scary and that kind of stuff. But when you get those validated skills, this is chapter 1 of Career Map. When other people say something positive about you, particularly from your personal board of directors, then you can own it because they validated it. And most of the time, you're not even asking them to tell you, they're offering it. So you know it's real, right? So here's a tip for you when you get that dreaded tell me about yourself question that HR people like me and Bill and others ask because we want a kind of a broad brush look. It's not my favorite question, but it's still asked. Instead of saying, because it feels like bragging, hey, I'm good at this, instead of saying it that way, say it this way. Let me tell you what some of the people that are closest to me have said to me about my skills. Let me use their words to tell you about it. And you're off the hot seat because you're not bragging about yourself. They're bragging on you for you. And that's another good resource to get from your board of directors because they know you better than you know you sometimes.
Good point. And Cathy, I do see one question. Let me just scroll back up and try to pull it up again here. Someone is asking, Cathy is asking here, she loves this idea. She's wondering, could someone fill more than one role on that personal board of directors, or do they kind of fit in one category? What do you
Here's how I always ask that. Oh, heck yes. Because a lot of times they're multiply in your life. You know, they could be a sibling, they could be a best friend, they could be whatever. Most of the people that are on my list were dearest people in the world that were beyond personal board of directors. They were some of my dearest friends, and they still are. And the interesting thing is that two people that are on my personal board of directors, for some odd reason, are still deep enough in my heart, even though they passed away, that I still remember things that they told me when they were alive, and I never forget them, because I think that sweetens the counsel. So if there's people that have passed on that have told you good things as you've been growing up or in your adult years, pay attention to that wisdom, because it probably is still true for you because they knew you so well.
That's very true. Yeah, very true. And people, you know, they carry on with us. Their memories carry on. The learnings from them carry on as well. Here's another question from Elaine. She loves the concept. And she's wondering, is it necessary for it to be reciprocal? Should you be providing something to them as well, Cathy? Thoughts?
I know Brenda will second this. We always believe in net giving. So you might not be able to give them something directly because they're wise counsel for you, but if you can make a way for them to find somebody that would meet their need, or if you can, I guess I would just say yes, period. But it doesn't have to be reciprocal at the same level, I guess is what I'm saying, because sometimes they might not need a mentor, but they might need something else that you can provide. And a good example of that is I can write to some degree, but nowhere near what Emily can do, my reverse mentor. So I help her navigate baby boomer thinking, which sometimes limits her, and she helps me with editing. So we exchange something, but it's different than what I'm getting. It's what she needs. So the need of the other person is the dictator of that.
Love it. And I did see a couple people that said they missed the categories. We did pull them up on screen in one of the comments earlier from Terrence. So you can look back in the comments there and see on LinkedIn the categories. Thank you so much, Terrence, for doing that, by the way. We appreciate it. I also want to remind everyone that this whole session is being recorded. And if you're on my VIP email list, I'll be sending a playback containing all of the links and instructions and videos and everything that you're seeing here today. So just make sure you go to mellermarketing.com/subscribe. If you're already getting emails from me, you will get the playback, and I'll be piecing these out as well. So you'll be able to watch just Cathy's video or just Jan's or whoever, if you'd like, in the playback, and that'll be coming out over the weekend. So let's see, Cathy, we've got a lot of other comments coming in here, and Peter, he hadn't really thought about it, but he calls it his kitchen cabinet, you know, kind of similar concept, right, as the board?
Well, and I can tell you, I'm broadcasting here from my kitchen, which is where I work and where I coach from. So I'm a kitchen table coach. So I kind of think the kitchen thing is a good thing because it makes it more real. And I'm glad that you named it that way because it sounds like it's real personal and meaningful to you. So the persons that you spend the most time with that give you the wisest counsel are the people that you are always the go-to people that you know you can count on. That's the biggest piece of a personal board of directors. Other people will come and go, but they're committed to you because they servant leaders, they care about you, they see things in you. It's just cool. That's all I can say is it's just cool, and I love being it. And by the way, I'm a kitchen table coach. Just, send me a LinkedIn shot and we can talk because I love to help people. So that's just an open offer. And link in with me so that you can have access to the contacts I have, because maybe somebody in my contact list will help you.
You never know, right? And speaking of that, Cathy, as we get to the end of our time here together on your interview, at least, I've dropped your LinkedIn URL in the screen so folks can see it. I'm also going to drop it in the comments on the live feed just to make it super, super easy for you guys just to click to go over to Cathy's profile. You'll see it up on screen right now. Invite her to connect. And when you do so, share with her something that you learned from her talk today, or just remind her that you saw her on today's LinkedIn Live-a-thon event in your invitation to connect. And Cathy, I just want to thank you so much for being our first presenter for today and helping to kick off our event. And again, reminding everyone, when you are experience rich, even if we have technical difficulties, audio problems, issues with links or Wi-Fi, we figure our way out together, don't we, Cathy?
Yes, we do. Thanks. And I have one more thing to say. Go be on somebody else's personal board. they need you as much as you need them in some way, or find somebody that you can connect them to so they have the resources that they need. So be one and ask for one is my thinking.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Cathy. It's been a delight. I'll start to remove you from the video now, Cathy, but if you'd like to go on LinkedIn, find the live stream and join the comments, there may have been a couple of comments or questions we didn't get to, but thank you so much, my friend. And guys, I want to let you all know, Cathy is, I call her my career fairy godmother. When I was going through some really hard times in my career, I remember meeting with Cathy at a pie place, Grand Traverse Pie, and kind of pouring my heart out. And she said, hey, it's okay. And she helped me to see the good in myself and in the situation and the opportunities. And there's been certain points throughout my career where Cathy's reached out, and I'm like, how does she know? I've had like a bad day or something's going on, and she'll email me and she'll say, hey, I just wanted to check in on you. I'm like, is there a camera? How does she know? But you really have been just such a guiding light in my life, Cathy, and to so many others as well. So thank you so much. And I want to encourage the audience to connect with you and follow you. Thank you, my friend. Have a wonderful day.
Okay, bye.
All right, guys. Thanks so much, Cathy.